Vive la Différence, 2nd of September 2021. In England, it's currently 25 to 3. Ordinarily, this would be after lunch. Lunch would have been taken in Costa Coffee, and it would be a regular Thursday in September. Yet, in Paris, as I'm writing this, it is 25 to 4. It is after lunch that I took in a boulangerie on a day that feels like all the other days I've had in Paris. What makes today stand out? Why bother writing if there's nothing different to write about? Just because it feels like every other day doesn't mean it is like every other day. There has not been a day in Paris that's ever been the same for me. Yes, essentially I wake up, do things, see things, eat things and sleep. But that is merely a routine. What I do, what I see and what I eat are different. Quite literally, there are hundreds upon thousands of variables to entertain. Yesterday, as a for instance, I joined my scholastic peer for the evening. Starting around St Victor in the 5th arrondissement, we brushed up against Boulevard Saint-Germain before crossing onto Rue de la Cité to look at Notre Dame. This holds childhood memories between her and her father. Touching Saint Eustache, my favourite church in Paris, we continued onto Rue Montorgueil, and I decided it was the right time to try out the expensive eclairs. Into Storo we went. There were only 4 types of eclair to try, and we had 2 of them. The regular and the Madagascan one. The coffee and the salted caramel can wait until December. These long, thin pastries with their slowly condensationing chocolate strip were a delight to behold. It almost felt selfish removing them from their wondrously ceilinged shop. But if I buy them, I'm going to eat them, even if they are sat atop gold-coloured cardboard stands. To say they were divine wouldn't be an accurate description, but to say they tasted like bliss would be a much better way of saying it. The eclair that we get in England, the boxed 4-fingered faux creamed variety from the supermarkets, may as well be the cardboard that is used to house them if we were to compare. These nigh-perfect pastries have a chocolate ganache piped lavishly through the rose beige coloured choux. There is a contrast between the Madagascan and the regular chocolate, but as an untrained and underappreciated food critique, I'm not going to divulge this trivial information. You'll need to sample these €4.50 delights for yourself. The oldest patisserie in Paris has stood on its site since 1730, and if it's good enough for Queen Elizabeth II, then I was certain it would be okay for me and my scholastic peer. And I was proved incredulously right. From this street of market shops through the restaurant phase onto Bourse, I don't recall seeing the building before, but in fairness, most buildings with columns start to blend over the years. This one is the Palais Brongniart. Apparently, it's a historic stock exchange, which I guess is similar to Royal Exchange buildings in London. The London building, the third one to stand on the site, was inspired by the Pantheon in Rome. It now houses upmarket boutiques, one of which is La Dorée, of Parisian pastry fame and world renowned for their macarons. The French building now holds events. It's also reminiscent of the Pantheon and for no logical reason brings to mind the Église Saint-Augustin, located in l'Europe section of the 8th arrondissement. I used to pass this Catholic church on my travels and always noted the violin repair shop nearby. From my first view of her, back in 2017, right up until last night, I have not seen her without some variety of restoration taking place. She is a beauty, of that there is no doubt. To be able to enjoy her visual attractiveness in full one day would be nice. In the interim, I would have to put up with photos of scaffolding, awkwardly angled photos, or simply dirty brickwork. It was in Saint-Augustin that my scholastic peer and I dined. We had walked past here at 8 o'clock en route to the Arc de Triomphe. The walk from Place Charles de Gaulle down to the Franklin D. Roosevelt metro station wasn't one of wonderment and awe, aside from seeing a large branch of Sephora. It was one filled with sideways glances at the side turnings looking for somewhere to eat. It wasn't just a case of finding somewhere, it had to be just right. There was never going to be anywhere suitable along the Avenue des Champs-Élysées, and this is why we strolled along a few roads after the touristic streets had finished. Hence our return an hour later to Boulevard Haussmann, junction of Boulevard Malesherbes and Place Saint-Augustin. Shall I bore you with the details of my calamar roman hors d'oeuvre? I could tell you about their firmness rather than their squid-like rubberiness that I often encounter. I don't know if that's because they've been deep fried in batter, but these felt like they'd been shallow fried, meaning the weight of the calamari was the meaty, fishy content rather than the oil and batter surrounding it. But fear not, I won't bore you with a main course of confit de grenade where the duck literally slipped off the bone with a gentle touch of my fork. What made yesterday different was the fact it was the day I tried snails for the first time.